Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today's courtroom battle is packed with shocking accusations, disputed construction practices, and a homeowner demanding justice after claiming a costly insulation job went terribly wrong. You'll hear conflicting testimony, surprising explanations about moisture damage, and a contractor determined to defend decades of experience. As both sides present their strongest arguments, the judge faces a difficult decision that could change everything. Stay with us until the very end to see who walks away with the victory.
Next is Rachel Daly versus Terry Moore. All right, this is the one that I heard a week or two ago. Is that correct? On the insulation?
Right.
And you guys went and talked about it. I take it you did not reach a settlement?
Correct.
Okay, so neither of you should tell me what happened when you discussed that, because those things are just between the two of you. By court rule, I'm not allowed to hear that I offered this, they said that, or anything like that in your discussions. But I'll give you each one more chance to tell me what you want to tell me. I have a pretty clear memory of this case, of the issues involved in it, but once again, you'll each get an additional chance. I'll start with you, Ms. Daly. What did you want to say?
So I just want to make it very clear that the building inspector has told us that we do not need a vapor barrier until construction is completely done. We still don't have a vapor barrier down there right now, and everything is completely bone dry. It has been since we took out the fiberglass that Mr. Moore installed. So it's very simple. The paper backing could not be on our roof structure, and I have email and code from the building inspector stating that. I remember talking on the phone with Terry. He actually admitted that the paper backing was a mistake, and he wanted to come into our house and put slits in the fiberglass to do what he said was an experiment to see if it would dry out. We told him he's not doing an experiment in our house. His insulator, or his subcontractor, Nick Tibbetts, who did the foam, we continued to talk with him, and Nick actually told us that he did his own experiment at his house. He did one with the paper backing, one without. The only one that was wet was with the paper backing. And Terry also mentioned that he said 39% humidity is high in a home because that's what we have on our meter. Between 30 and 40% is actually when you start to get nosebleeds, so it's not high.
All right, and one other question, you probably told me this, you filed a claim for $7,000. What's the basis for that? In other words, how did you get that amount to claim? Is that remedial work you did, or go ahead?
We paid Terry $10,300. That was for both the spray foam and the fiberglass. They never told me what the difference was. I actually did ask Nick. He couldn't tell me what the difference was between what Terry paid him and what the difference was, what Terry's portion was and what Nick's portion was. So we just, small claims court, the max was 7,000. We paid him 10,300. I also want to make it clear that we did send a demand letter. We contacted an attorney. Upon talking with the attorney, we found out that he is not licensed, and he can't actually be doing, work anything over $600 in the state of Michigan, and he charged us 10,300.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Moore, what did you want to say? Once again, don't tell me about any discussions you guys had on settlement.
No, but I have questions, Judge, that I ask to be answered.
Well, go ahead, I'll see. I know we've already had a trial on this. I'll see if they are. What were they? Well,
the date that the project was started.
Ma'am, do you know that approximately?
I don't know that approximately. It was a couple years because we've continued to, do things as we could go. And I know where he's going with this. He's going to say that water was getting into the foundation, and that's where the moisture came from. But if that was the case, we would have water running down our basement walls, and we don't.
All right, Mr. Moore, go ahead.
Okay. The date the foundation was poured.
Do you know that?
It was July of, I couldn't tell you, maybe 24. I'd have to look at my phone back to pictures.
The date that the ICF block on the crawl space was constructed.
That would be the same time. That is the foundation. That would be when it was poured.
The date that the ICF block was poured with concrete.
That's the same question.
Okay. All right.
The date that the rock was put into the crawl space for the floor.
About the exact same time.
The date the subfloor was installed.
I don't have the dates to all that stuff, but it really doesn't pertain. Like, what we're here for is the insulation. It has nothing to do with what, I mean, you see new builds out all the time. They don't have it all covered up.
Let him ask those questions. I'm not gonna go very far in this, as I said, we've had a trial, but let him ask the questions.
The date that the frame rafters went up.
It was all the same year. It was all that summer. And then, so it was like July that we had the foundation poured and everything. We had the rafter set up, and by October we had everything, the roof on and everything closed in for winter.
So it went from July to October?
From when the foundation was poured to everything being done and having everything was sealed tight. Yep, with the roof and everything for winter.
How many inspections were on the home?
All of them that were necessary. Every time we had a foundation, I mean, I don't know the number, every step that we had to with the county.
Did you start the building process without permits?
No.
During the building.
All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Judge.
No, go ahead.
During the building process, do you know how many times it rained before the house was dried in?
No.
What happened to the attorney that you hired?
Oh, no, that isn't relevant for this.
Okay. Just a statement. There's numerous small lakes in that area, and they hold water.
Ms. Daly, did you hear what he was just saying? Ms. Daly, did you hear what he was just saying? I lost your picture for a minute.
I didn't. No, something cut out.
Okay. Mr. Moore, would you start again?
Okay. When it rains outside, rain runs down the roof and ends up right beside the house. And we have something called YouTube, and that's when we learned this in science class. When you pour water at one level, it YouTubes up to the other level. So water YouTubes and goes inside the crawl area. And with no vapor barrier, which is required by code, you have a moisture problem also inside the house from the rain running down the roof and YouTubing into the crawl area.
All right, anything else that you wanted to say?
I used no water in installing my insulation, and I bought it all, and within a few weeks they had said that was the problem. And I spoke with Owens Corning, and they said if you had a moisture problem in there at all, they said all you would have to do is make those cuts in the vapor barrier, and it would take care of it. And I asked them, I said, the material is 24 inches wide. How would it be if I went 4 to 5 inches inside the stapling flange on each side and I made a cut all the way down and tore the center paper right out. The reason we had the paper is because on an A-frame, the slope of the roof is so drastic. If you put uninsulated or unfaced material in there, it would fall right out of there. That's why we put the craft in there. And Owens Corning told me that if I were to cut that paper out of the center, which would be about at least 12 inches wide, and remove that all my problem would be, any moisture problem would evaporate, would be gone. And this
All right.
is after talking to, you call 1-800-GET-PINK. And these are the Owens Corning representatives that I spoke with.
Can I add
All right,
something
well,
to that?
Go ahead.
So the reason we declined Terry to come and do the slits is because I have videos and the water is just pouring down. It was saturated. Once it becomes wet, it cannot fully dry out without causing mold. And then on the other half of that, once it's wet, it shrinks because the fiberglass is like the people say it's like it looks like cotton candy, and it's like cotton candy. When it gets wet, it starts to shrink down and it loses its R value. So after it being wet, and the amount and necessity of it being wet, it shrunk and it was no longer at the R value that we would have passed for the inspection.
All right. Mr. Moore, you get one last shot as well.
Well, I spoke with Owens Corning, and none of what she just said was stated by Owens Corning whatsoever. Fiberglass is nothing but fibered glass. And, you know, our drinking glasses don't shrink when we pour water in them. I've only been in this business for 42 years. I know a little bit about it.
All right. Well, there's always a problem on something like this. It's neither of your faults, but you know, it's a lot of money in one sense, in another sense it isn't. I probably said this at the last hearing. If you're arguing over $500,000, you each would have had attorneys and experts testifying and making it more clear to a judge or jury what's hearing this. There's a lot of things where I have to make educated guesses on, and that's the nature of small claims cases. And you both understand that. So basically these are preponderance of the evidence cases. They're not criminal cases with it beyond a reasonable doubt. Preponderance of the evidence burden of proof is just slightly more than 50%. That's the plaintiff's burden of proof in that. And the other part, you know, I'll use the Latin phrase that I learned way back in law school, res ipsa loquitur, but it basically means that the thing speaks for itself. There is moisture there. No one is contradicting that. It's just a question as to how it came, which leads us back into that first question, that is, it's not a big enough case to get a real clear answer, and yet I find that there is sufficient proof for some award, so the court will award the plaintiff $5,000 plus court costs of $109.27. So the total judgment is $5,109.27. And we will mail that out. You guys know how to contact each other if you want to discuss any settlement of that, but that is the court's decision. Thank you. And that completes this matter.
After hearing every argument, reviewing the evidence, and listening carefully to both the homeowner and the contractor, the judge explained that this case was far from straightforward. Neither side had presented the kind of expert testimony that would have made the true cause of the moisture problem absolutely clear. In a larger lawsuit, both parties would likely have hired construction experts, inspectors, and attorneys to provide detailed technical opinions. However, because this was a small claims case, the judge had to make a decision using the evidence that was available and determine which version of events was more convincing under the legal standard known as the preponderance of the evidence. While the contractor insisted that the moisture came from environmental conditions and not from the insulation installation, The homeowner maintained that the improperly installed faced insulation caused the damage from the very beginning. After weighing all of the testimony, documents, and arguments, the judge concluded that the homeowner had met the burden of proof and deserved partial compensation. Instead of awarding the full amount requested, the court ordered the contractor to pay $5,000 plus court costs, bringing the total judgment to just over $5,100. The ruling serves as a reminder that even when every question cannot be answered with certainty, courts must still reach a fair decision based on the evidence presented. Construction disputes like this can quickly become expensive, stressful, and highly technical, making proper documentation and professional workmanship essential from the start. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.